can remember it like it was yesterday. And I'm sure that all of the fathers, and I'm sure the mothers too, but this is Father's Day weekend. But I can remember it like it was yesterday, May 18th, early morning hours. And I was handed our first child to hold. Now, even at that tender age of 21, there'd already been some significant dates to remember and significant times life had changed. But I don't think there's anything that signaled the change that that makes in our lives. And I'm seeing a lot of smiles and a lot of nods here from the parents. Nothing can prepare you for the realization that your life has just changed forever in ways that you have no clue. I realized at that moment that I was a father. Should I have realized that before? Sure. But it was at that moment of holding him in my arms that it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was only over time, and again, all parents here will resonate with this, that I learned there's a difference between being a father and being a dad. That sometimes being a parent involves things we'd rather not deal with. Brokenness. Broken bones first, broken relationships, all of those kind of things that happen in life. And we're still there. We're still called to be there. The good times and the bad. But our lives have changed forever. There's no going back. There's no way we'd want to. Why do I bring that up? I bring it up not only because this is Father's Day weekend. I bring it up because, in a way, that's what we hear in the gospel tonight. Christ is in prayer. And in the midst of his prayer, he turns to his closest friends and followers. And he says, "Who do you think I am? Who am I to you?" Yeah, he starts off easy. He threw the softball question first, like a good teacher. Who do other people say that I am? That's easy. You get the textbook answer. But the real question is, who do you say I am? Who am I to you? And Peter speaks up and gives the answer. You are the Christ. You are the anointed one of God. Now, St. Luke is different. The other apostles, the other evangelists all tell us that at this point Jesus scolds Peter when he says, "I have to suffer." That doesn't happen here. He says, "Yeah, you got it right, just don't tell anybody yet." Don't tell anybody yet. Why? He says, because being the Christ of God involves more than just the power. It involves more than the trappings. It involves all of the hard stuff, too. All of the brokenness. All of the things we'd rather not face. The pain, the suffering, the death. All of those things none of us want. And he says, until you all realize that being the Christ of God involves that too, you're not ready. You're not ready to make that ownership that you are followers of mine. The Christ of God, Jesus, leads us. We say that we are his disciples. We follow him. Well, we follow him on a downward path sometimes. We follow him in the dark side as well as the light. And we accept that. But do we accept our discipleship as a moment in which our lives have been forever changed? We recognize it in the humanness of our life. We recognize it when we become parents that our lives can never go back. Our lives are forever changed. Do we feel the same way about our lives as baptized followers of Christ? That our lives can never go back to the way they were? Or do we treat Christianity and discipleship as if it's something I will do on the weekends and when I have some spare time, but other than that, I'm just going to go about my business? How would our families look if that's the way we treated our families? Oh, I'll deal with you, family, when I have time. I'll be there for you on my timetable, family. Any parent here ever tried that? I don't think so. We shouldn't be trying it in our relationship with Almighty God either. Our baptism is a moment that changes us forever. And we don't go back. It's a total commitment. And that's what Christ means when he says in the gospel, you have to be prepared to take up your cross daily and follow me. Pope Francis, in his many sayings over the last 3 years, has come up with a number of wonderful expressions for us on how we might live our lives. And I was reminded of that. You know, he says there are certain important words that every married couple should know, like, I'm sorry. This past week, I was really blessed through the efforts of some of our own parishioners to attend and participate in a conference put on by Hospice. And speaking at that conference was a doctor by the name of Dr. Ira Byock. Dr. Byock has spent his career working with people as they approach the end of their lives and helping people live their life to the fullest, even as that life is coming to a physical end. He's a remarkable man. One of the things that he shared with us in his presentation was what he has discovered in working with patients as they approach the end of their life, was that there were certain things they wished they had more time to say while they were living. If I had realized this then, I would have started this process sooner. And he came up with 4 things that matter most. And I think they are very practical ways that we can apply to our own lives. Think about these as we go forward. First, to say, whenever possible and whenever appropriate, I am sorry. Second, whenever possible and whenever appropriate, to say, I forgive you. And then as often as we can, to say, thank you. That's what Eucharist means. Thank you. And finally, to say as often as we can, as deeply as we can, I love you. And he says, imagine if our lives, how our lives would change if we lived those 4 expressions from the beginning of our lives and not waiting until we approach the end of it. I think it resonates with what Pope Francis has been trying to teach us, and certainly what we hear in the gospel. So happy Father's Day to all the fellow fathers out there. Happy Mother's Day too. See you later.